So to get a little practice using analytics, we're going to answer a very important question. And this is going to require you not only to use analytics, but probably to go and do a little research on the back end as well. Are you ready for this? Great. We want to be able to understand what a conversion is worth in dollars. So if you're generating leads, it's not always obvious what a lead is worth. If you're a business that's selling leads to other businesses, then you know what you can charge for a lead, you know what it's worth. But if you have a long sales cycle selling to other businesses, it may not be really clear how much revenue a particular lead on average is donating to the business. We want to build a model that will help us understand this and let us track this. The advantage here is that not only will we be able to measure what a conversion is worth, but we can also understand what a visitor is worth and even back that up to understanding what an ad click is worth in real dollars. This helps us understand, number one, what our acquisition costs are going to be for different channels, and two, what sort of budget could we use to drive our conversion optimization. Let's look at e-commerce first as an example. This is usually pretty easy. If analytics is set up properly, you go in for the appropriate period of time on your time graph and you look at the amount of revenue that was generated, that was reported in analytics. You can then divide this number by the number of transactions. Most analytics packages will do that for you and give you the average order value. You get to decide if you want to include tax and shipping or not include tax and shipping. The only requirement is that you always use whatever your decision is. So we understand what the value of a transaction is. But if we back that up and we look at the number of visitors we had for that same period of time, we can understand a very important metric called revenue per visitor. Now, revenue per visitor combines both the conversion rate and the average order value. So as we're optimizing, if we see revenue per visitor go up, we can be assured that either the conversion rate is increasing and the average order value is staying the same, or the average order value is going up and the conversion rate is staying the same. Both are positive outcomes. We can drill in and look at the conversion rate and the average order value to tell us what's happening, but it's a nice metric to optimize for because it includes both of those things. As I said, we can increase the number of conversions on a website by cutting all the prices in half, but that's going to reduce the average order value by half and will probably be an unprofitable move. So we want to make sure that our conversions are both increasing the number of conversions and at least keeping the value, the quality of those conversions, as measured by the average order value, the same. Now, some e-commerce businesses have frequent repeat visits. So lifetime value is actually a better measurement. And this will require you to look back in time. So let's say that you have people that purchase on average once a month. You can go back 3 months or 6 months to get an idea of what the quote-unquote lifetime value is. It would be a good estimate for long-term customers plus new customers that are coming into the funnel. You get to decide what the right length of time is. The only requirement is, as being precise, that you continue to use that measurement as you optimize to ensure that your lifetime value is not decreasing as you might be increasing the purchase rates, the number of transactions per visitor that you're getting on the site. We always want to be looking at increasing conversions and maintaining or increasing quality. And if we can increase both, we're going to drive the business to stratospheric heights. Now, let's take this one step back and look at ad clicks. We can take that same revenue that came to the website and apply it to ad clicks across our campaigns. Analytics will usually allow us to isolate a slice of the data that is just people who came from a particular campaign and will give us revenue and average order value just for those folks. So these are visitors, this is session level. We're looking at revenue and transactions, both of which are modeled as session values, so this is the legal way of looking at it. In your workbook, if you're running an e-commerce site, you should be able to go into your analytics and just write in the numbers: average order value, number of transactions. If you are looking to calculate lifetime value, figure out what is reasonable and write that in. 6 months moving average, or 6 months sum lifetime value of our clients is what we're going to be using. So the lead generation value chain is very similar. The only catch is that when we're generating leads, the revenue comes at some point later. If the person generates a lead and then also purchases on your website, then you have all of the data there. You just have to understand what the average sales cycle is and make sure that the analysis you're doing covers the typical length of a sales cycle. If you aren't taking money online, but there's a sales team that's closing those things, you have a little bit more of a challenge. And in my experience, most businesses like this have no idea what the value of a lead is. So let's say that you have a 3-month to 9-month sales cycle. What we may want to do is say we're going to look back 9 months and we're going to count the revenue that came from the website. And generally the way you do that is to go into the CRM, the Customer Resource Management System, and look for leads that came from the web and calculate which of those closed and what the dollar amount was. The sales team should be able to help you with this. What's important here is that you are sending that information, that it came from the web, and even specifically if you can send the campaign that brought the visitor to the web before they generated that lead, that would be really helpful. And this may require you to get the sales department and maybe IT involved tracking that. It is well worth the effort because you can't optimize easily if you're not able to tell how you're affecting ultimate sales. But once we have that revenue number, we can then start applying it to everything up the chain. So we'll be able to get an average number, an average revenue per close, an average size of the deal. We'll get an average value of the lead by taking the revenue and dividing it by the number of leads. And we can get a revenue per visit. So every time somebody comes to the website, I know I'm putting a certain amount of money in my pocket. And then of course we can measure on a campaign level ad clicks. We can measure which email visits came through and how much revenue those generated. Because we carry that campaign information all the way through to the sale. So in your workbooks, you'll be able to enter this. How long is your sales cycle? How much revenue was generated going back over that period of time? And how many leads were generated for that sales cycle? The main thing is that you are consistent, so you always measure it the same so that you can see changes. We're really looking for changes, not necessarily the right answer. So this would give you the value of a web lead, and then you can use this information to calculate up the chain. If you have an online service, a SaaS site, then you have a couple of conversions you have to worry about. So calculating the revenue over a period of time, again, is pretty easy for you because people sign up online and you charge them month after month until they unsubscribe. So it's pretty easy to go back over an appropriate amount of time, say the typical length of their subscription, or a length of time that captures your seasonality, and calculate the revenue that's being generated. Now, for conversion optimization, we're going to be interested in new signups. So we'll want to calculate, going back for a period of time, a quarter, 6 months, only the revenue generated by new signups going forward. So this may require a little bit of munging of the data for you, but I have confidence that you can do it, or that there's someone who can help you. There are two conversions that we're worried about typically. There's a trial conversion, and then there is a buyer conversion. And the conversion between trial and buying is our onboarding rate. So once we have that revenue number, we can, for instance, calculate the value of a sales close, the value of somebody signing up for a trial, which is the equivalent of a lead. And of course, back up the chain, we can track visits, revenue per visit, revenue per visitor, even revenue per ad click, as we talked about. Again, as long as you are tracking revenue, crediting revenue back to specific campaigns through your system, you should be able to get this quite easily. And since this is an online product, it should all be right there in analytics for you. So I've got a recipe in the workbook for you as well that will help you go through and calculate this. I look forward to hearing some of your questions on the call this week as we talk about these numbers. Finally, there's the publication. The value chain here is revenue generated, and for publications, often revenue is generated by advertisers. So how much ad revenue did we generate? We might want to, in this case, track number of clicks. So the advertisers are paying for clicks, and a conversion for a publisher may very well be measured in terms of clicks on ads. Now, not all of the value of an ad is found in the click. Plenty of advertisers are advertising to build awareness, to build brand image, and things like that. But if we could calculate the number of advertising clicks per session and translated that into money, then suddenly we understand the value of each of the ads on our site, and this can work back into our sales. But for us, it's going to be really important because we want to make sure that visitors are seeing those ads while we still are providing the great content that gets visitors to come to our site. So what is the value of a click? Going up the chain, what is the value of an advertiser impression? Going up the chain, what is the value of a visit? And then specific ad clicks, affiliate links, whatever is bringing people to our site, we can apply this revenue up the chain. And we begin to understand the value of everything we're doing. So on the call, please be ready to discuss this. I'm very interested if you have a difficult situation or an exception, something that's unique, because this is how we all learn. Please be on the call and come with your questions and challenges. Let's see if we can figure this out. Finally, I want to give you a little homework. I want you to go and look at your mobile visitors. I want you to look at them over time. I want you to look at them over the kinds of devices that people are visiting on, kind of browsers people are coming in, specific to mobile, and begin to understand if mobile is growing, how quickly is it growing, and is it growing faster than the general traffic, the desktop, tablet traffic on your site as well. Because if you're like most customers, you're going to find that you have a lot of mobile traffic. And in general, as an internet, we've been slow to address mobile traffic. We'll be talking about that specifically, but this is a great little homework assignment to really understand everything about your mobile traffic. And I will be asking about this on the call. So that's it. That's the beginning of your analytics adventure. You should be friends with analytics, and we are going to be diving into more as we start to evaluate our hypotheses. Make sure that you're collecting ideas that are coming to you in your hypothesis list, and I look forward to seeing you right here in the next session.